Oh, man. So if you're watching this, it's probably early in the morning, probably about 8 o'clock Eastern time, especially for you West Coast guys. You know, it's real early, but you're probably catching the replay. I got the strongest man in logistics right here with one of the best beards. I'm not going to say the best, one of the best beards in logistics. My man, Robert Bain. What's up, bro?
What is going on, brother? It's good to see you.
Man, you know, it's been a while. You disappeared a little bit on LinkedIn from me. What happened to you? Where'd you go?
I did, you know, and I'm glad you asked, man, because I actually had a lot of people ask this weekend, or this past week, when I was at the conference in Las Vegas about that. But I needed some time to me for a few reasons. I had some professional changes. I'll call it what it is. I was licking my wounds a little bit. I went to the biggest meet in powerlifting and I bombed, which isn't great. So, you know, the thing I've been kind of waiting my whole life for, and I screwed it up. So, so I needed to lick my wounds a little bit. And then I was a lot of things going on with the household. My daughter had gymnastics season starting, which is it's a lot of juggling just schedules. And then my wife has a full-time job, as do I. And then you got Lily with school, the other three kids with school, and then gymnastics is another part-time job for her plus meets. Like I need to just kind of drown out the noise. And as much as I love connecting with everybody on the social medias, it's noise is what that is. And so I just need to clear out and clear my head. And so I took about a 60, 70-day break from almost all social media, which was it was weird because I'm usually very active on, especially LinkedIn and Instagram. I'm really active on that. And that's a little bit of gram stuff, you know, as people would tag me in things. But, you know, normally I'm about a post a day kind of guy. And I got down to about a post a week at the most on Instagram. And then LinkedIn, I was fully off.
Done. Yeah. Wasn't even there.
Yeah. Like didn't see me. Like, it was weird because people were liking my posts from like September. I'm like, yeah, still not here, not doing anything. But it was good. It was good to kind of clear my head and be in the moment for a lot of things. You know, with Lily, her junior year gymnastics, she had a breakout year. She's a good gymnast anyway, but she really, really had a good year. She came within a couple of points in the Illinois State meet as a junior, which was really exciting. And so I was just focused on my family and my work, and so that's kind of where I was. And again, having a job change, not a career change, but job change, that was a big deal too. I just need to focus on, you know, the things I need to build at the new gig.
Yeah, man. Well, that's so important. You know, balance is in this life. It's so hard to find. You know, I was talking to Justin Bray yesterday. He's running this week on the show, or this past week, I guess. I'm so weird now. I got to record these things, but
yeah, right.
So, you know, this past week he's running on the show, and you know, he was talking about balance, and when we got in a conversation talking about, you know, it's really hard to like get in the best shape of your life, to get as strong as possible, to also have like a perfect family life, to have your finances on track, to have all these things going at the same time. It's almost like, in my experience, I could do one really well at a time, you know, and it's like I can get in shape, or I can start saving, or I can be the perfect dad. Like I can do all those like at one time. It is really hard to balance, you know. So, you know, you've been doing this a little bit longer than me. You got more kids than me, a little bit older than me. How do you balance all this? What have you found that helps you kind of find your balance, or do you still struggle?
Yes, I guess is the answer. So I would say like we have a balance in our home, but there is a time in your life for imbalance. So let me be very clear, like, because there's gonna be a wide variety of people that watch this, right? And those that are like kind of under 30, there's a time for imbalance, and that's kind of the time in your life for the most. Like me and my wife, it was very different because we had our first kid when we were 20 and 21. So like life came at us very fast, right? And so our imbalance was just survival. And then from there, I had about a 10-year stretch where like it was my career and that's it. Like I'd go to the gym, still play soccer every now and then, but it was just like whatever I could fit in. And like I lost some weight, all that, but I was very, very focused on our finances, my career, and making sure I could build like something that I could rely on. Once I got past that, then it was all right. Now I need to really focus because thankfully my family survived that. I look back on that now, like it is a miracle that my family survived that. Like as a one unit, like that's the time when I saw that with my peers, a lot of them got divorced during that time. And I look back and we were very lucky that I decided that whatever it is, just it's us against the world. So to your point earlier, like I've got a great partner, you've got a great partner as well, and so that's a huge piece to have that support system to keep balance. Because what I love is like I used to say my wife is my completer, but like no, she's really not. Nick is the best compliment to me that I could ever ask for, because she doesn't complete me. Like I am my own person, as is she. But we have very complementary type of strengths, if that makes sense.
It does, absolutely.
And that's what gives us a lot of the balance. And also what has been we've made very clear to each other is that we have to have something outside of our relationship and outside of our family that drives us, because then that also holds us accountable to things inside the home. As for instance, my wife loves doing Tough Mudders. She loves it. She loves the community, loves doing the races, and the people she meets, and she has friends all over the country from doing these Tough Mudders. She's done, like, I want to say 10 or 11 now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she loves this stuff. I've done it as well, because I'm like, hey, good supportive husband. I'm going to do one of these. Never again.
Sure.
never do a Tough Mudder again. Did it with no training. Stupidest thing ever, because she conned me. She's like, oh, it's 10K. No, it's 10 minutes.
Oh, man.
But then I can hold her accountable. Like, hey, like, you're doing your group fitness. You're doing your personal training, take care of your clients. Like, you got to do your stuff, because if you're not ready for these tools, you're going to have a bad time. Mm-hmm. And on the flip side, where she sees me, like, I'm traveling for work, I do all the stuff I have to do, and I take care of our family in a lot of ways from a financial perspective. She's like, hey, you have to get sleep tonight, because you got max ever squat tomorrow, and I don't want to, have you coming home licking your wounds. I want you telling me that you squatted 1,100, and, I don't want to see the video because it's dumb. It's lifting. It's just you lift in big weights, but, like, I know how important that is to you. So she's my cheerleader. She's my complimenter. She's my accountability partner, and vice versa. And I think that's what helps us with the balance. And then we look at the family too, is that we're holding our kids accountable for certain things too. We're by no means perfect. None of us are. But, like, we got 6 people in the house that's holding each other accountable. And so we kind of built that in. And I think it's tough. It's really hard to do that from the jump. But we've really built that into this point. So now we've got, well, as of this recording, in 2 days, we'll have 4 teenagers officially. My youngest daughter turned 13 on Wednesday. And,
wow.
We've built this in with the kids where they know their place. They know where they sit in our family. And they also know, like, where they fit in all of our lives, and vice versa. Like, where mom and dad complement their life. And then when they get to be independent, they have their own agency, because, again, all of them now, like, they have a bit of independence on some level, depending on, again, where they are at any place. So the way we've done that is, again, we talk about it. We're very deliberate about it. And that's where I think a lot of people get messed up, is they're not deliberate about their balance and where they put their time. I mean, all of us got 24 hours at the end of the day. And I had a great guy that I used to work with that told me, I had friends that were ruthless with their calendar, and they seem like jerks, but man, they get a lot of stuff done.
Your time management's key, man. And you got to be selfish a little bit with it. I mean, a buddy of mine, Mike Bonnet, he was one of the top sales reps for Grant Cardone down at 10X, right? And he's out of there now doing his own thing. But he posted a video today on his Facebook, and it was a story. And he was just like, hey, draw a circle 3 feet around you. Now, remember, you control who comes in and out of that circle, and be selfish with it. And I was like, man, it's such a simple 30-second little video. It's so true, man. Like that type of stuff can motivate you more than pretty much almost anything. And it's just the facts. It is like, people can suck energy from you, but people can give you energy too. You just got to have those right people around you. And the right 100%. People is not the right people for everybody. Everybody has their own people. Some days you might be down, and you might need the comedian in your life for a day. But you don't need him when you're trying to get actual work done. You're trying to focus. So there's a time and place for everybody. I've kind of learned that a little bit. I've learned how to be that person for people. I think that's a thing too. Kind of be that chameleon. Kind of like, just know what people need at the moment and try to provide that energy to them. And that helps too, man. Especially like in an office setting, in a work setting. That's a big deal. But hey, you talked about squatting 1,100 pounds. You sent me a video today of you doing. Please tell me it was 835 twice. Is that what I watched you do?
885, sir.
Oh, my bad. Excuse me. I get my 8s and my 3s mixed up sometimes. 885. I don't want to cut you out there. 885 twice. That's ridiculous, by the way.
It was after walking between the 2 days at Manifest, another day in Vegas. I was walking 40 some miles the previous couple of days. I'll tell you what. Like, I love a lot of things about lifting, but I love squatting. Squatting is like the best thing in the world to me, because it's one of those where I joke about it a lot, where you talk about bench press, everyone's got a story. You talk about squatting, everybody's got knee problems. And so I love that word. And it's this great metaphor for life where like you go down low and you go down to deep places, right? Like, and it's dark and it's scary and like there's a lot of pressure. Being able to rise up with that. And again, it's a corny metaphor, but with stepping under a weight that should kill you is just, it's so exciting to be able to do that and do that with skill. I don't like to say with ease because it is not easy, but to do it with a level of skill that is it is above others. It's really cool, man.
You know, nobody, well, I'm not going to say nobody, but the majority, okay, I would venture to say everybody watching this podcast has never had 800 pounds in their back, right? So, you know, the majority of people in life don't ever squat that much weight. Like I told you in the past, like the most I ever squatted, it was my absolute strongest was 620. I went down, I came up. The last time that's ever going to happen, you know, I've done some box squats with a little over 600, like 605, 615 for reps. That's box squats ain't shit compared to having to actually hit a full squat with 620. There, like that almost broke my body, and that was the strongest that I ever was, like in my lower body, my lower half, and I was squatting a lot to the point where like 500 pounds was nothing. Several, like I could do my big sets with that. A lot of people never see 500 pounds. A lot of people never see 400 pounds. A lot of people never even put 135 pounds on a bar and squat down 10 times properly. Like people don't understand how hard it is.
I'll tell you, the first time I stood up with 1,000 pounds, like I stood up out of the hooks, like, and I questioned every life decision I made. I think I said this last time I was on. I questioned every life decision I made at that point. This is heavy, man. I mean, 1,000 pounds is half a ton. That is heavy load. But I will tell you this: when I squatted 1,010 on September 11th of last year, my very first 1,000-pound squatting competition, 2 white lights, which means it's a good lift. You get 3 judges and 2 out of 3. It's a base majority. And when I realized this, after I stepped on the platform, my coach said to me, he's like, you know, less than 350 people have done that in the history of human existence.
Dude, that's awesome. Think about that.
It was wild. I'm sitting there like, so the meet gets done, and once you have a total, then it's official, right? Because if you bomb out of the meet, then the lift's not official. I'm like, there's probably some other folks who have done it successfully, but they didn't finish the meet. Like that happens. But like, I wrote my name in a book it's pretty special, and you're right. So most people won't ever experience that, but my 1,000 pounds is the same as your 600 pounds, in the sense of like that at that time was the most I'm ever going to do. Now, obviously, I'm continuing to push that. We want to make that number bigger. But it's a very unique thing. But man, it was cool when I came home. So go back to the balance thing, right? And the first thing my daughter says to me, she's like, my oldest daughter, she's powerlifted before. I've coached her to 6 national titles, a couple 3 world titles, and all she said was like, "I never doubted you." It's like, dude, like awesome. If I succeeded at all as a parent, is that a kid knew that I was to do what I said I was going to do.
Which that has to make you be careful with your words. You know, it's like whenever I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I've got not only a support staff, but I've got people that are looking up to me that I've brought into this world that not only know that I'm going to do it, the expectation is that I'm going to do it. Not that they're going to be upset if you don't, but like the expectation is I'm going to do this. Like dad's going to go do that. Like my dad's going to go squat 1,000 pounds. And they can say that with no doubt at all.
And like, here's the thing. At the end of the day, like what does that mean? Oh, my dad squats pounds. You know, half your friends are not going to believe you. It's fine. Doesn't matter. You know, you end the argument of my dad could beat up your dad. Sure. no problem.
Right.
But then it equates to, you know, you've heard the saying, you probably said it too, you know, how you do one thing's how you do everything. Mm-hmm. And so I don't only think about the people I brought into this world, but I think about the people I've brought into my organizations, and they expect something of you. And so like, sure, they know if I do this for a hobby, great, that's awesome. Well, like when I say, hey, like we're going to invest in you, we're going to pour into you, we're going to take care of you, in the sense that we're going to give you all the tools to succeed. And then I'll let you either build your mountain or dig your grave.
No, it's so true, man. Like it is, everything that you do is what you do. Everything you say is what you do. And You know, if you do one thing one way, do everything that way. You know, my dad always said, you know, it wasn't exactly like that, but he was always just like, if you're going to do it right the first time. You know, don't take your time and do it right the first time, no matter what you got to do. And that was the work ethic that came with me when I was growing up, man. It was like, you know, I didn't have to be the fastest kid on the first sprint, but I wanted to be the fastest kid on the 100th sprint, knowing that I was going to be mentally tougher than everybody, and I was going to keep my pace, and I was going to be conditioned enough and be prepared enough to be the leader at the end, because anybody can lead at the beginning of a game. Who's going to lead in the last 2 minutes? You know, who's going to be fresh in the last 2 minutes?
Who's going to blink last?
That's right. That's right, man.
Huge thing, man.
Life is like that. And go to logistics, right? I mean, if you look at it, like, anybody can grab an account, anybody can book a load, anybody can have good conversations, anybody can manage it. Like, but who can do it under the stressful environments? Who can do it when adversity hits? Who can do it on a Friday night at 7 p.m. when your customer sends you over, you know, 10 plus expedited loads, and they got to be picked up before in the morning? Like, who really wants it at that point? Is it the guy that's just sitting over there just kind of getting by? He probably wants to go home, go hang out, drink some beers, get hammered with the boys, whatever it is. You know, who are you going to look to? Who's the leader you're looking to that's going to be there all weekend grinding it out? You know, I know my boys, I know our guys, which ones are going to do it, you know, and it's like, I don't want to be one that's not. I don't want to be the guy that they're like, okay, he's pretty good at most things, but when this happens, I don't know where he's going to be. I never want that question to come about with me.
I look at it like this, because there's levels to it, right? Because you're right. There's guys that are going to grind. There's guys that are going to do, you know, what they need to do. There's guys going to do the bare minimum, and that's not bad. Like, you set those parameters. Like, that's why you set this minimum. Like, what we expect of you. You do that, but also remember, there's Tyronn Lue's and Brian Shaw's, and there's Kobe Bryant's and LeBron James's. Those are two very different levels, and ultimately, like, if you ever listen to, because you know what's always interesting to me, you don't see a lot of interviews with Tyronn Lue and Brian Shaw. You'll see a lot of quotes. Yeah.
Right.
But you see a lot of quotes from Kobe, LeBron, MJ, Tom Brady. Really weird how that works out.
It is a little strange there.
Because people want to see that level of excellence. What are the separators? The separators are tiny things. Tiny, tiny things. I will tell you right now. Go back to the powerlifting and squatting specifically. The day you squatted 620, I can guarantee I can look at your squat at that moment. Part of it is I have a trained eye, but also, like, just there were things there. You were probably closer to a 700-pound squatter than you realized.
No, you're probably right.
Because it's level, tiny incremental things. And when you take it back to logistics, it's, will I make that extra call? Am I going to ask for that extra load? Because you're looking at this, you're an account manager, right? You're not selling accounts. Like, you're bringing in freight. You're not an order taker, but you're taking on additional work, right? Is it worth it for me at 4:30 on Friday to take these 10 extra loads because I know the carousels team's going to yell at me? Or if I'm a cradle to grave, I know I now have to deal with 10 more loads. Like, is that truly worth it? Because I'm going to crush on 5 of them, and I'm going to get crushed on the other 5. But is it worth it to know that, like, I did everything I could? So ultimately, that's what it comes down to. It's like, you know, doing your best, or do it, like, give it everything. That may not be enough. Are you willing to do whatever it takes? I had a very wise man, a mentor of mine, his name's Steve Brock. And Steve, he's kind of around the space. He works for a company that does installs for Info, which is like a WMS type system. Steve also is 52 years old. He's an 1,100-pound squatter. 4 years ago, he snapped his humerus in half. So your humerus, right here.
Yeah.
He was an 800-pound bencher before that. He's an 800 bencher now. That's a bad man.
That's ridiculous.
That is a bad, bad man. And he told me a very, very important, and it was a very loud conversation because that's how Steve is. Are you willing to do whatever it takes? Because what is it you truly want? Is it that you want greatness? You want goodness? You want adequate? All these things are fine. It's not that these are bad. Either way, I'm not saying that you're a bad person. It's like, hey, I want to be comfortable. I want to be so uncomfortable that I do things that no one else can do. And that's at every level. That's in fitness. That's in my marriage. I want my marriage to be so dope that no one else can even fathom that. I want my relationship with my kids to be so amazing that they think to themselves, I hope dad doesn't find out. Like when something goes wrong, I need to call dad. Like I want that to be different. And when it comes to my business, I want to build more sales. I want to do more business, and I want my team to know like this guy is different. He doesn't just say this stuff. He's different, and I know that I'll run through walls for them or for him because it's worth it. He's willing to do whatever it takes.
Dude, I love that. That mindset is so powerful. Have you ever read, or do you know of Tim Grover, the guy that was Michael Jordan's trainer? So he has the book Relentless, and he talks about being a cleaner. Like there's all these. That's what a cleaner is, man. Like it's the guy that's going to do whatever, like you said, whatever it takes to get the job done. Michael Jordan was a cleaner. People, I put out a post earlier this week. I said, after looking at what Tom Brady did, there's no doubt Tom Brady's is by far, I mean, I don't care what anybody says. He's the greatest football player to ever play the game. The greatest football to ever put a helmet on. He is the most accomplished, greatest football player to ever, whether it's longevity, stats, whatever you want to look at it. He's the greatest, right? So you got to look at it and go, all right, can you now say, is that person the Tom Brady of their field, or is it still the MJ of their field, right? Who is the GOAT of GOATs? Almost is what I was trying to get to. And everybody, it was a landslide. It was MJ. Mm-hmm. And I look at that and I go, why? Somebody put this out there and it hit me. I was like, you know what? That was a great point. And they probably deserve a little bit more credit for this point. They said, listen, everybody respected Tom Brady. Everybody feared Michael Jordan.
Yes.
And it was like, okay. So they're both the best to ever do it. But one was so good and demanded so much of those around him and would do literally whatever it took during the game that people feared him, that played him and that played with him. They feared him so much that they did whatever he said to do. Like, dude, that guy was ridiculous.
Yeah. Reggie Miller talks about, look at this. Reggie Miller is a Hall of Famer. He's probably one of the greatest, top 3 greatest pure shooters of all time. Him, Ray Allen, and Steph Curry, right?
Yep, no doubt.
Stroke, beautiful. Still a good debate whether his sister or he was better. But still, a great player by himself. And he talked about taunting Black Jesus, talked about MJ. Mm-hmm. You don't hear that about Tom Brady. And this takes nothing away from Tom Brady. You're right. This is a man who, if 2-minute drill, I don't want anybody else but 12 under there.
No doubt. No doubt.
But Michael Jordan was, and the other reason why he was different is he transcended everything. When you were as recognizable across the globe as the Pope, as Gandhi, as Buddha, as religious deities, you are on a whole nother level than just, and again, Tom Brady's very good. Tom Brady was more recognized as Gisele Bündchen's husband than as Tom Brady.
It's true.
Michael is just, he's MJ or 23. That's what he is.
Yeah, think about a guy, dude, he has sold more shoes. Like he makes more money off shoes than any basketball player makes playing basketball right now per year. Currently. Like that is ridiculous.
Years.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It makes no sense.
And here's the thing, from a statistical standpoint, LeBron James is better than he is. Statistically. Aside from one major statistic, I know that's what everybody always holds over LeBron's head. But, I mean, like all those things. And honestly, they played one-on-one in their prime. I think LeBron gives him a good run. He might even take him because I think physically LeBron's a better athlete than he is. But I'll tell you what, if I'm in a street fight, I ain't scared of LeBron. I am a little afraid of Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah, he'll do whatever it takes. He will literally hit you with a glass bottle if he needs to.
He will Ray Lewis me, no problem.
Yep. No doubt about it. Did you watch? I haven't seen it yet. I might watch it tonight. But last night they just came out on 30 for 30, the Bullies of Baltimore, and it's the story of the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. And it's about, dude. So the one quote is literally, it's a picture of Ray. He's like on the goal line looking this way during that season, and he goes, "Listen, man, you can't beat us if you can't score." That was their motto. Like, if you don't score, you can't win. So as long as, I mean, dude, like it's so far away from that now in football where, it's like defense wins championships. Now everybody just wants to see offenses just outscore each other. And I get it. But dude, some of those, matchups back in the day, when you look at Tom Brady versus Ray Lewis, Peyton Manning versus Ray Lewis, like those matchups, man, during those AFC championships games were unbelievable. And it happened for a decade. Like it was those two teams going against each other, and it was just whoever got to it. And to see the defensive audibles going against the offensive audibles, the people that don't understand the game don't understand the chess match that was taking place between that middle linebacker who ran his defense. And you got to think Ed Reed's playing safety there for a while. Deion Sanders is back there playing the nickel, like he brought him out of retirement. You know what I mean? Like, dude, that defense was ridiculous. And you got Tom Brady and Peyton Manning out there also still picking him apart just a little bit, But it was
you got a shots at
greatness.
They did. Oh, it's amazing. And like I agree though because it is so geared towards this ultimate. Like, what do fans pay to see? Like what do I want to see in this coming Super Bowl? Like I even said it on Word on the Street on Friday. I want to see a shootout. Yeah. I am cheering for Jalen Hurts. Sorry if you're anybody on who's a Mahomes fan, but
no,
I'm cheering for him. I'm friends with Jalen's agent, so like I want to see him win. I just think it's cool.
Really?
I like him as yes, look awesome.
So he's got the really, dude. That's awesome. I want to talk about that. So he has the only all-woman agency team. Like his representation, the entire thing is women. So how do you know his agent?
I met her randomly at an airport at the airport in Houston. That's where she's from. She's an attorney. She's a practicing attorney, and she started working as an agent. Got signed to Young Money with Lil Wayne because he started the sports agency, and then struck out on her own. And it was fascinating to me. I'm like, you are going against every norm. It's almost always guys, almost always white dudes. And here you are, this woman of color, and you're signing Jalen Hurts, Quinnell Williams from the Jets. Like, so, I mean, we're talking big names in like her first 3 years as an agent. And when I say friends, I mean I know her. Like if she saw me at the airport, like, oh yeah, like I would have a dinner or anything like that. But it was super cool. Like this is incredible. And like I sat and talked to her for probably an hour that day in the airport. It was just fascinating to hear her thoughts on how, and especially like young men of color should be represented in sports. It was a very different take than I'd heard from like. And it's nothing away from them because they're very successful. The Drew Rosenhauses or some of the other guys in that space. It was just very unique and how she approaches deals for them. That it's not necessarily just cash. Like no, like I want to get these young men equity. I want to get them ownership in what they're doing outside of their profession. Because what I want to see is the LeBron James model of like I make so much money that I can just do whatever I want. Let's get it to the point where the young men have so many opportunities that it's no longer, oh, you're just an old ass athlete. No, like this is an entrepreneur. It should not be the anomaly that these guys are not broke after their career.
Agreed.
And that's so cool. That's like from a leadership perspective, like that is how you think. That is what you do for the people that are a part of your organization.
Yeah, I've got to study more into her because I just saw that this week, and I thought it was fascinating that's the direction that he went. And he's a bright kid too, so like he knows what he's doing. Like he's going to surround himself with the right people. That guy got done dirty, man, when he was at Bama. But I think the adversity there, I think, made him who he is now. Going to Oklahoma, doing what he did there, almost being a Heisman there, and then getting into the NFL, and everybody like saying Tua. And it's like, dude. Everybody wants to talk about how these Alabama quarterbacks don't make it in the NFL because traditionally Alabama quarterbacks are game managers. Well, the past decade, they haven't been game managers. They've been ballers. Like they've been some of the best quarterbacks in the league. And you've got Tua and now Jalen Hurts both balling out at the same time in the NFL. Alabama is becoming a QBU. Now, Bryce Young's going to do the same thing. Just wait. He will. He's going to do it. But Alabama, just wait. They're about to go back to what Alabama does, and Alabama will win the national championship next year. You heard it here first. And here's why. Here's what it looks like just from an outsider's. And I'm not an Alabama fan. I just like greatness. So
you know the games.
Yeah. So they're going defensively, they're stacking their defensive side on the coaching end. They've always got a great defense, right? But what they're going to do is they're going to go back to running the ball 30-plus times a game and doing more play action and going back under center. Dude, just wait. I guarantee you, with the offensive staff they're bringing in, they're about to load the box and go back to old school football because nobody's doing it in the SEC right now. Everybody got away from it, doing the shotgun zone read, trying to score all the points. If they're the only team really in the SEC that's lining up, going 21 formation and freaking literally just running the ball down people's throats, they're going to do what Auburn tried to do towards the end of the season with Cadillac as the coach, which was working, but they're going to do it on a super high level with a bunch of five-star athletes and the best team in the league. It's going to happen. Just wait. They're going to do what Georgia's doing, but better. That's what they're going to do.
I am inclined to agree with you, and I think the big thing they're going to do too is they'll have all that, but then also they're going to have star two-way quarterbacks that, sure, you want to load the box, no problem. We're going to throw it over your head and just watch it ring. Like they will beat you both ways. I'm inclined to agree because I think after watching Georgia this year, great team. I think Stetson did a good job. All 50 years old or whatever he is.
Dude, that's ridiculous. I had no clue until after it was over. He's that old.
Swing back in the day for Florida State. He's like 27 years old. He's a quarterback. But I think they saw that and said, listen, we can get all the weapons, especially now with the NIL deals. You can get every weapon at Auburn or at Alabama, and we're like, oh, it's not fair. The rich get richer. It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah. Listen, when you build up a dynasty that much, you should be able to grab whoever you want to because you earned it. Like Nick Saban didn't accidentally just have the best team for the past decade. Like he built the best team over the past. Everybody had the opportunity to do that at Alabama, and they didn't. He did, Don't be mad at him. He did it.
There's a great quote. So I don't know if you follow either Dave Tate from Elite FTS. Dave has a lot of power.
Yep.
Do you listen to his table talks ever? Well, so the Elite FTS table talks, it's probably got 200 some episodes. Talking to various like strength athletes, coaches, all types of different things.
I may have seen a couple without noticing that I was watching that.
I highly recommend the two talks he did with Dave Hoff. Dave Hoff is by and large the greatest powerlifter of all time. Only made the total over 3,000 pounds more than once. All-time total 3,103. The man's incredible. Finally got to compete against him in November and obviously got dusted. But Dave talked about this, and its quote is so powerful to me. Everyone knows what it takes to be great, but not everyone's willing to do it. The blueprint's all there. You look at, I don't care what you're doing. If you're talking about sports, business, nonprofit, whatever, the blueprint is there. And people talk about, I don't have the resources. I don't have this. I don't have the backing. You don't need it necessarily. You need to look at what you have and you say, okay, what steps can I take today so I can build to the next step and the next step? It may take you longer than the greats, but everyone knows what it takes to be great. Are you willing to do it? Because here's the thing. It's so painful to go through those things. If it was easy, everyone would be great. That's the reality of it. And Dave talks about this. He's like, the list of lifters, and I always go back to this because I think powerlifting is such a great metaphor for life. The list of lifters that have a 3,000 pound total is a whopping 2. Dave Hoff.
Is it really?
That's it. Dave Hoff and Donnie Thompson.
Now that's deadlift, bench, and squat.
Correct. In that reverse order, but yes. And here's the thing about Dave. 1270 squat, 1041 bench, not in the same meet, and an 826 deadlift. The man can beat you any way he wants. And again, there's guys that are incredible. You got like Jimmy Kolb, if you've maybe seen some things on the link or on social media this past weekend. 1350 bench press. First 600 kilo power lift of ever in human history. And Jimmy's for the most part a bench specialist, but he knows what it takes to be great. And he just goes and does it.
So here's a question for you. And I've been fascinated with powerlifting and just strong people in general. When I was a kid, when I say I'm a kid, 10 to 15, right? You go to ESPN Classic or ESPN2 just during the middle of the day. World's Strongest Man, man. I love Maurice Pudzianowski, and I love Maurice Pudzianowski.
Dude, Marius, first of all, he's a psycho. He's
fighting now. True, he's fighting people these days.
All runs logistics company in Poland.
What? Does he really?
He does. He runs a shipping company in Poland. He's also so connected in the Polish government that he beat some guy with a tire iron and got off scot-free.
So pretty much my role model in life now that I want to be in the States.
Well, Drew Savickas, Lithuanian, greatest log press of all time. He has a 500+ pound log press over his head. But it's fascinating to see these anomalies of existence because they do all this stuff.
But where's it going? Like you just said, did you say 1,300 pound bench or 15?
1,350. Yep.
Dude, most people can't bench 350. This dude did 1,000 pounds.
They can't total. There's 3 lifts. Squat. Look at this. You squat 500, you bench 325, and you deadlift 500. That's a good day.
Yeah, that's a very strong high school athlete that's going to D1 college.
He just out bench pressed your total.
So where's it going, Robert? Like where do you see, like, if you had to put a crystal ball into the future of the next 50 years of human advancement, where is the squat? Where is the bench? Where is the deadlift? Like, what are the records at that point?
Right now there is a man that will squat over 600 kilos. There is a person that will deadlift over 600 kilos. Those are the next steps. To me, there is no limit. Because every time you put a limit, remember the 4-minute mile, right? Not humanly possible. It happens every year.
Can do it. Yeah.
Everybody can do it. Marathons, marathons were a death sentence. You run 26.2 and you drop dead. You know how many thousands of people run a marathon every year? And this takes nothing away from that because I sure as shit can't do it. It's incredible those who do it. But there is no limit on the human existence except for what we put on it. There will be another person that will total 3,000 pounds. There's going to be a person who totals 3,200 and then 33 and then 34. There will be a person that has in all 3 of those major lifts a 4-digit lift on the same day. All this will happen. It will happen in our lifetime.
So do you see 4,000 pounds happening?
Possibly not in my lifetime, but I think it will happen, yes. You're going to see somebody who's going to have a 15, and then 1,000 pound deadlift. It will happen. There'll be a freak of nature, and people will talk about them as the goat. And then someone's going to come around and they're going to pull 1,015, and all of a sudden they're the goat.
Where do you see, obviously, like, you can use, when you're doing stuff like that, you have to use straps and stuff, like some type of something, right? Like the suit and the equipment to make sure your kidneys and everything don't pop out of your body.
I have raw friends like Dan Bell, good friend of mine, 1,100 pound raw squat.
That doesn't even make sense. Doesn't make sense, dude. That does not.
The reason I specifically say I'm the strongest man in logistics, not transportation, is because Dan's a mechanic, diesel mechanic in Florida. So technically,
wow. That's ridiculous. That's dude. I have no clue where it's going. But you look at guys and you wonder. So technology is advancing, right? Not just only like bigger, stronger, faster, but I mean, you got the AI coming in. You've got Elon Musk and his Neuralink coming in. There's Marcus. At a certain point, you're going to see, like, we're going to become cyborgs. I don't know if people believe this or not, but it's going to happen, right? Like, I don't necessarily know that our conscious is going to get uploaded into a computer that's a robot walking around, but we're going to have, like, if your arm doesn't work, you're just going to get a better arm, a super strong arm, and if your leg doesn't work, you're just going to get better legs.
That's what I have now.
Yeah, you have a rod in your arm, pretty much.
Now I've got 2 bolts in there from when I ruptured my distal tendon. So there's two bolts in the forearm, and titanium runs up the tendon on each side up to the muscle belly.
Yeah, so I mean that's a lot stronger than a regular bone, right, or a regular arm. So eventually you're going to be able to, like, what do I want? Do I want a strong leg that's never going to break? All right, cool. I'm just put a rod in my leg that kind of bends and goes with it, and it's going to be able to hold 1,500 pounds. Now, as long as I build the muscles up around it, and my tendons are good, the bone's not going to break. I can do whatever I want to because it's going to be able to do it. I just got to get strong enough to be able to make it work. And if I have enough time, I can probably do that. Like there's going to be some crazy stuff happen. And if you look into sports, like where's football going to go? I mean, you look at football in the 50s, in the 70s, in the 80s. Now you look at it now. Dude, a Division I backup would smash the best players that played in the 70s. In the NFL, smash them, run around them, backwards, do everything they need to them. Like, people are getting freaky. Freaky athletes are happening right now.
Yep. And we're finding them, and that's the difference. Like, I remember this distinctly when Cam Newton won the Heisman. They talked about that some gentleman who won the Heisman, I want to say it was like in the 40s, maybe. His center had the same measurements as Cam Newton. 6'5", 250, or whatever it was. Like, you're right. These are freaks of nature. And so to me, again, there is no limit. Because then you start getting people that are these freaks of nature, and then, I don't have a better way to say it, they breed. And you have a mix, and the gene pool mixes, and then you've got, think about this. Whatever mixture, whatever genetic cocktail became LeBron James. Unbelievable. And now look at what his kids are doing. So now not only do you have that genetic mixture, you've also got the knowledge that comes from that. So you have people that have done this stuff. And so not only do you have the physical part of it, you've got the mental part, and you have this belief, like, we can do anything. We can literally do anything. Like in my world, like my gym specifically that I train at, as I said earlier, 350 people, less than that, have ever squatted 1,000 pounds. 5 of them are in my gym.
That's wild. But surrounding yourself with those people is the reason why you did it, right? Like you end up those people are going to motivate you to do it. Those people show you that it can be done. It's not just a video now. It's not just something you read about. You saw it happen. You're like, I'm going to do that. I can do that.
We have a woman who's going to squat 900 pounds in April.
Okay, don't be talking about that on my channel. Don't be doing this to me. All right, listen. You keep numbers below 620. We're talking about women on my channel.
The Crystal Tate, she will squat 920. She will bench 500 pounds, and she'll be the first woman ever to deadlift 700 pounds in a meet. I'm calling that right now because she came within 3 inches of deadlifting that in July of last year.
That's fascinating.
Crystal Tate is. I call her the Crystal Tate for a lot of reasons. One, because she's sweet. She's my friend. She's dope. Scoliosis is so bad. She has 2 titanium rubber spine. The scar I see every freaking week. It's insane. Both knees need to be replaced. One of her hips needs to be replaced now. She's 35 years old. Not even 35 yet. The woman is not human. She is a cyborg. She is the cyborg you talk about. But this is
those rods in her back. She's getting ready to roll with those deadlifts.
Man, never fold. But there is no limit. That's what I always come back to. Is like she to me is the definition of there is no limit. But let's take things all the way back to like the logistics world, right?
Yeah.
Literally nothing is impossible. You look at companies like a Molo, right? And people say, oh, well, like they had the silvers in their name. I don't care. They scaled to $1 billion. Arrive didn't have every bit of that. Scaled to $1 billion in a couple of years. Sure, Uber Freight had all the extra money. Guess what? Convoy didn't have that. They just had a great idea. Anything is possible.
Let's talk about that. So you just got back from Manifest out in Vegas. I'm jealous because I wanted to go because a bunch of the bros were there, right? And I missed that. But, tell me about it. We were talking a little bit about it off air. A bunch of tech's happening right now in logistics. Tech is getting crazy. Trey Griggs, I mean, he's talking a lot about tech right now. He's actually starting a whole new channel as it relates to tech. And I'm excited to him to do that. You've got people that are creating new platforms in tech that are already kind of influencers in the logistics space that mutual friends that we know in the game. And it's just really cool to see people kind of step out of their comfort zone and do some other things. But with Manifest, like you were telling me, there was like X amount of people that were supposed to be there, and then they ended up doing over 1,000 more than that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it ended up being people looking maybe to come in to invest into a little bit of the logistics space. So kind of tell me about your Manifest. How was it? How was the vibe? I'm going next year. So how was the vibe? And tell me a little bit about
awesome. Like Manifest is one of my favorite conferences, and for a couple reasons, only a couple years old, so it's unique in that respect. But I love Manifest because you connect with so many folks on so many different levels. You have people that are there displaying. You have a lot of folks that are out there guerrilla style, like I was, where I'm just meeting people and networking. And then what was interesting is that they had planned on about 2,500 people for this conference, and ended up being 3,800. And about 250 of those attendees were from the VC community, the venture capital community. And really what I saw them doing, and I stole this from a good friend of mine, Chris Klotzbach, that they're not necessarily looking to deploy resources and capital, but they're wanting to understand what's happening, who's actually got traction. I think pre-revenue investments, and I'm hearing this from a few folks. Chris is one of them, and I always give him credit because he's a great friend of mine, a good mentor. Pre-revenue investments are basically dead. If you've got a great idea, if people buy into you, no one cares. They don't give a shit. But what these VCs are doing is they want to understand, like, not what the economy is doing right now. They're thinking 10 years down the line, like, what can we do to prep ourselves so we invest 10 million, and 10 years from now we pull out at $1 billion. That's kind of their thought process that I'm hearing from a few folks. And so it's exciting that once again we're hearing, yes, on one side, recession, this is bad, regardless of your politics, like these things are happening. But on the other side, it's like, well, yeah, but this is the industry that's been so primed for all this investment, all this tech, and now things are starting to actually work. And it's not just, hey, we have this cool idea, we get bought by a big, rider or something like that, and then they're going to shut us down. Not picking on Ryder, but I am for a second. Sure. But yes, these VCs were out there and really like just trying to understand the landscape. And I think that's great because much like that community has done in other industries, they're not just trying to throw money at people. Like think about 2018 to 2021, essentially. If you had a cool idea, you had 10 million in your pocket in less than a week. It's insane. And how many false starts did we see with that?
A bunch.
There's so many. And so one of the big takeaways I got from Manifest is that the other thing I heard a lot of, and this kind of validates some things I've been saying to some of our clients, is that, very muted fourth quarter, right? It was not the big, going crazy like we're used to in Q4, especially like that holiday season from, both for Thanksgiving through Christmas. Inventories were high, so a lot of that was just being used to fill the holiday orders. But now you've got a lot of things that are changing. You've got a shifting import-export setup where we're not importing as much from China. We do a lot from Southeast Asia, India, from Mexico, and heavy industry. And so with those adjusting supply chains, now people are having to make adjustments to their ordering, how they're going to fulfill that. So in order to prepare for that, they're going to start earlier. A lot of folks are seeing this now that the planning cycle for the fourth quarter is now being bumped up to end of Q2. So then the orders happen in Q3, everything's in by then. And so I still think it's going to be, and what I heard from a lot of folks, that it'll still be a muted fourth quarter. It'll be better than last year, but compared to over the last 10 years or so, a much lighter Q4. But what that's saying is that there's reprieve coming. And with that means people are going to be more willing to invest because they see their margins are not as thin. And then you're going to see investment from the VC community. And then that creates this flywheel of investment, growth, advancement, investment, growth, advancement.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of to step on your point, we've seen a lot of the automotive manufacturers are now in Mexico. And they're just shipping everything up through Mexico. And then it's kind of going through the corridor up through Canada right there. If you want, like Laredo through Canada, right? Like if you went to St. Louis, Memphis, like kind of up that Chicago, up through that area to get up to Canada. And they're pretty much taking over North America. We're working, real close with a partner right now. We struck a deal a couple of weeks back. You might not have been back yet on LinkedIn, but I posted about it. But with a company that's doing a lot of that, and we're kind of
I saw a couple.
Okay, yeah. So we're pretty much providing the overflow solutions to their part because they're just managers of transportation. They just know how to kind of do the relays and the asset side, and they don't want to do the brokerage. And I think it's really cool that you can partner up these days with people that want to stay in their lane. They literally told us, was like, hey man, this is what you're good at. Go do what you're good at. Why would we hire people to do what you're already good at? You do it. We get along with each other. We're going to do what we do. Everything extra we get, we'll send it to you. And it was like, people are willing to have those conversations down in logistics where it's not just competition. Everybody can do everything. Everybody is the same cookie cutter. We do everything great. No, partner up with people that do things really well and attack a bigger market share. And if people are more willing to do that, man, like, one, the supply chain will be better and more smooth, and you'll be able to save shippers on money, and you'll be able to provide better service and get more carriers more money. Like that's the end goal, right? Like, save shippers, pay carriers more, and you make a little bit. That's our goal as a broker. And everybody wants to like screw one or the other. It's like, don't do that. Just you take the least amount, get more of it, and then share the wealth. And if we would all do that, it would be a much better place. But yeah, I think with the supply chains, the geography changing of where we're kind of getting some of those imports, it does, man. It does. It changes up a lot. And, peak season's always been big. I've only been in it for, right at a decade now, like 2014. So I'll be going into my 10th year next year. So, peak season was always real huge at the place I worked at prior. And up until last year, you're right. It was kind of light, a little quiet, peak season. And was it because everything was already kind of in the warehouses and they were just kind of moving around already in the States? Maybe. Or is this the new thing? Is this the new trend?
New norm.
The new norm, man. Like what's it going to be? So it's interesting. Logistics is fascinating, man. Like, I never thought that I would be sitting here talking logistics as much as I do, but it changes every day. It's fun. It's like a game. It's fascinating. It's a great community of people on LinkedIn. The people that are not interacting with everybody on LinkedIn, you're missing out. Like, I'm not trying to say, like, I post about the whole personal branding and it's good. Yes, that's great. And you should. Like, I think you should. But at the same time, just get on there and meet people. Like, there's some awesome people in this space. And I love it, man. I truly do. Yeah, Marcus, come here. Where you at?
He's right there.
No, he's on his iPad. So
that's fine. But you make it go. You look at I talk about this a lot, and I got this from Chris Jolly. Speaking of great people to meet on LinkedIn, right? And
love him, yeah.
No, great dude. The freight coach. Big ups to him. I'm incredibly appreciative of our friendship, and we talk about the symbiotic relationship between shippers, carriers, and intermediaries. All three need each other. And if you think that that's false or something, like, you're so wrong, it's not even funny. Carriers need shippers, they need dedicated customers, but also they need brokers and intermediaries to fill their network. Brokers need shippers to ship stuff, they need carriers to move stuff. It's pretty simple, right? Shippers need carriers, dedicated carriers. They're going to be there for them day in, day out. But they also, let's be real, your carriers are not going to fit everything. They just can't. When you get a carrier that has 20 trucks and you're based in Chattanooga and they run nothing but day cabs, and all of a sudden you get a brand new order from Chattanooga to SF, you need somebody.
Yep.
Right? And sure, like, you may say, hey, this is like PI, it's whatever, but like, no, having an intermediary partner can get you a better rate and save you that money. You can reinvest in your business. There is a great need for intermediaries to fill networks and the vice versa, where those carriers and those shippers are using them and they're using the brokers using them. So it's that symbiotic relationship is how we have to think about this versus this whole concept of, well, it's a shipper's market now or it's a carrier's market now. No, it's not. You put my guy in the hospital, I put your guy in the morgue. It's no, like, we need each other. We have to keep doing this. The whole, like you said, can't keep screwing each other. This is when it's truly collaborative. You're right. Intermediaries take a little out. You are brokering a deal. You should be paid for that service. I'm not saying you shouldn't. And hey, listen, if you're really good at negotiating, maybe you get a little extra off the top. That's fine. Mr. Carrier, Mrs. Carrier, you're taking care of your driver in some way, shape, or form. You're paying them, and you're paying them as best you can. Mr. and Mrs. Shipper, you're reducing that cost, because ultimately that cost gets passed to who? Us, the consumer, right?
Exactly.
So when you think about it that way, is everything doing, yes, is about building your business, but ultimately you impact every consumer out there. And so that truly is the national collaborative, if you really look at it from that perspective. But again, that's not how we're always thinking. We're always thinking of investor relations and how do we produce for shareholders. By the way, if you're a CEO and you're more concerned about your shareholders than your employees, go fuck yourself.
I love you, dude.
small dick energy. And if you ever see me out in the space, keep that energy with you, because fuck all that. I know you probably got to edit that stuff out, but that drives me. Because
who are you talking to? Edit shit.
I watch these mass layoffs going on, not just necessarily in our space, but it's across the board, right? But then I see you on your yacht, or I see you with your third house. Fuck you.
Oh, you're speaking my language. Oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble if I keep talking. Anyways, so no, man, I love that. I do love that, dude. Let's talk about what happened. Let's talk about. I got shadow banned from LinkedIn. I know you wanted to talk about this, dude. People can't even tag me right now. So
I couldn't do this.
I don't like people can't even search for me, it doesn't even pull up my full name. It's like Gunner M. Dude, get out of here. You kidding me? It's like other Gunner Millers have taken over the Gunner Miller on LinkedIn. It's like, first of all, can we just? I'm not trying to like brag, but can we just do a social proof real quick? If I'm not the most followed or connected Gunner Miller on LinkedIn, change me to Gunner M. I understand, but if I am, well, motherfucker, put me on like LinkedIn so people can find me.
That's what I'm saying. And like, fine, shadow babe, like, but why? That's what I can't get. It's not like you're out here talking about, Kufid conspiracies or, the celebrities, drink the adrenochrome from the, like, you're talking about this stuff, man. Like, you're just talking logistics.
Well, I have had those podcasts, but now they're not on LinkedIn, but I do have those podcasts on my YouTube. But anyways.
Fair.
Well, I got a bunch of buddies that love conspiracies, so I have to have those conversations. But
you'll have to record a separate one with me because I have a whole theory on the pandemic that it wasn't about health; it was all about rich guys and dick rockets.
I mean, I'm not against it. I'm definitely not against that. I'm like the whole. What about the balloon? What do you think about the balloon? A lot of people are trying to. I've been asked a bunch of conspiracy questions about that. I don't see too much conspiracy about it. Like, I mean, I just kind of feel like it's kind of weird that we just let it sit up in the sky. But what do you think about the balloon?
Conspiracy. The president of China straight up said it's just for surveillance. They're fucking watching us because they want to see how stupid we are.
Well, we let it go across the entire country and shot it down. What, in Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah. So thank you, Florida people. We appreciate you. South Carolina actually, but still.
Okay. Okay.
It's basically North Florida. I mean, it continues to show that, and this is how I'm going to get shadow banned. We are weak, and we have the elderly abuse that's going on in our White House right now is insane, and all they care about right now is trying to get certain people on committees instead of looking at our national security, securing our borders, or taking care of home and putting America first. It's not because we're the greatest nation on the planet. We're not right now, by the way. Hate to break it to everybody. We have the best opportunity to be, but we're not. We keep shitting the bed on that. And it was just their way of saying, we know you suck. And like, it's a game of chicken is what that was. It got all the way across the Pacific, our entire continent, South Carolina, where finally somebody said, not on my watch, take a sip of their moonshine, pow.
Yeah. It's fascinating that like people kept asking, like, what do you think what Trump would do if it? First of all, and whether you like the man or not, if that thing would have even came up as a blip in United States airspace, would have been blown up.
Gunner, no dude would ever come from China. Never comes here because I, Donald Trump, TJT 45. Not a chance. No one ever touched me. 45, just like 23. MJ, greatest of all time. We spoke about it earlier. I'll come back just like he did. 24, Kobe year. We'll see y'all then. Let's go.
Only president to win twice this year.
Twice.
This is me.
Twice.
The greatest president of all time.
That's okay. They stole it from me. I'll take it right back. No big deal.
Listen, man. Politics wise, I don't know what anybody thinks. I'm not a big. First of all, the first person I ever voted for was him. Why? It was the second time when he lost, so I probably should quit voting, honestly. But it's like he made it fun, and I understand that maybe that frustrated people and people like get all upset about some of the. But dude, it was so entertaining when that man was president. And if you look at like the main things about the country. Was anything bad other than the very end? He didn't do that. That was orchestrated. Other than the very end, like
again, we'll do like conspiracy theory on a different podcast. Yes,
yes, but it's true. Like he everything up until the final 6 months, the other 3.5 years was so cool, like so great. Like we were in such a great place as a country, and it just went away like that.
Here are the things I think people have trouble arguing. Some people will, just because, right? We were a world power in the sense that people wouldn't mess with the U.S. because, if nothing else, they were afraid of what he was going to do. I won't ever come out and say, like, did I support? Not like, well, here's what I know. Our economy was in a better place than it is right now. I can tell you that because I've kept my mortgage from that time, and my interest rate is 1.3%. So, tells you something.
Yep.
Anybody that bought a house the last 2 years would kill for that.
Five and a half right here. So,
what other? He had that wild card about him. He didn't play the game of American politics. And here's the thing, that drove me nuts too, because like there's some things that should get pushed through. It would be really nice if that would happen. But also he did it in a manner that disrupted, and I hate that word, but it's true, is what he did. He disrupted the way that Washington plays. And that's what pissed people off. Is they're so used to, all right, I go and I do this, and then he's in a second guess and go, nah, pound sand, I'm not gonna do that. And that upset a lot of people, and I understand why that upset you. And did he say bad things? Yes. Like, you shouldn't say the whole grabbing thing. You don't say that. You shouldn't.
And don't double down on it, but for sure. Yeah. But it is what it is.
Like, were we all thinking, hey, Hillary, you'd be in jail if I was in charge of our lawmaker? Yeah, I would say that. And do we hold our politicians accountable? No. By the way, do they care about you? No, none of them do. Right, left, none of them fucking care. You know what they care about? They care about enriching themselves. I talk about this at the airport with a buddy of mine, Ben Allen. Regardless of what you feel about 2020, not a single person in those offices care about you. And here's how you know that. When they leave office, their minimum personal wealth has increased 10 to 20 times. Bernie Sanders had that 2016 election wrapped up. They run him against Donald Trump. We never even have this conversation about DJT. We don't. He sold his soul for a book deal. And then sat up in the rafters. And, I mean, you could see it. He sat there and watched Hillary take that nomination knowing Donald Trump was going to be 45. And everyone in that building knew it and let it happen because got to let royalty have their place.
Yeah. It's like pro wrestling. It's all scripted.
Mm-hmm.
It's all got an end game, man. Politics you can script.
Have you seen the Super Bowl script has already been leaked? It's 34 years.
Did you see where Arian Foster was like trolling people, and now everybody's like running with it? That's hilarious.
That's the trade. You got really mad at
me, dude. I love it, man. I love it. Anyways, well, dude, it's been an hour. We've been on here for a while. That's about all everybody can kind of keep up with on the show during the days. I try to keep it like a lunch break type thing for people to go back and watch. But, dude, thank you so much for coming on.
Great. Thank you.
You got anything you want to end with?
I was on a podcast about a year or so ago. Trigger Warning Conjugate, Oliveira, is a good buddy of mine, powerlifter, and he asked me this question: is anything that I could tell my 18-year-old self?
Yeah,
18, 19, 20-year-old self, and who would think about that at that point is young Robert Bain about to be a father. That's a thing, and I think this is important. So I have young people that work for me, and I know you probably got some young people that work for you too. And yes, you are younger than I am, but I think it's important because we are peers. You are the author of your story. And when you allow the world to throw you around, you're handing somebody else the pen. Never let go of that pen. And so that's what I want to end with, because I think that's something I've been talking to some of my people about, my direct reports. And like I told them, and this kind of scared them because I've been in my role for all of 8 weeks. And I told them in my first one-on-ones, like, my goal is you're not working for me in 2 years. And they thought I was going to try to get them fired in 2 years. Like, no, I want to make sure that I've built you up and I've gotten to the point where I've gotten you to hit your goals where you can't work for me in 2 years. You're either getting promoted and I either work for you or you're a peer of mine. You're in a different role in the organization. You're doing what you love, or you've moved outside of our four walls and you're doing what you love, or you're getting paid way more than I could ever take care of. And we're just friends in the industry. So my message to everybody at the end of this, again, like I said, Strongest Man Logistics, do all this stuff. It's super cool. We move freight, we lift weights. You are the author of your story. Never give up the pen.
Dude, I love that. You're a beautiful soul. You're a great mind. You're very wise. I love talking to you. Next time you want to come on, you always got a platform with me, bro. Whenever you want to chop it up, let me know. I need to get up and see you so we can go hit the gym and you can pretty much 2x my squat. Come on down, dude. Whenever you want to come down, you can stay with me. I don't care. Come on.
I love it. I love to hear it, man. Awesome.
All right, brother. We'll see you later, dude.
All right, man. Be good.
See you, man. Bye.